It's our first big trip since our wedding, Jake. Essentially our honeymoon. We have to do something special. But where are we gonna go? We're still unemployed, so we can literally choose anywhere for any amount of time.
Well, maybe let's go to Greece, Italy, Paris, maybe Bora Bora. What about Dubai? That could be so romantic.
Remember, I just said that we're still unemployed, Jake.
So, what's our trip gonna be?
Well, I've been wanting to go to Bali for like 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, so?
It's like one of the cheapest countries to visit. It'll be perfect.
Oh, really?
So let's go to Bali.
Let's go to Bali.
Let's go to Bali.
Let's go to Bali. Let's go to Bali. We're going to Bali.
And that's exactly what Morgan and Jake set off to do. They found some plane tickets and off they went. Another adventure, another country. 12 hours to Japan, 3 hours to Jakarta, and finally, another hour to Bali. But what is there to do in this little country? Isn't it just full of nomads and influencers? Well, now that they have been there, they can't say that there is more in Bali. Come along for this journey. Jake and Morgan are going to talk about their entire honeymoon with you today.
Okay, so here we are. We're talking about our trip to Bali, Indonesia from this last year. We went for a honeymoon and we were in Bali for a month.
Yeah, beautiful islands in Indonesia.
Definitely a trip of leisure, but we experienced a lot. It was a good trip, and let's talk about it.
Okay.
So why did we go to Bali? What was the reasoning? We've been spending a whole year in South America, went home and got married, and then we ventured to the other side of the globe for our honeymoon.
Yes. So I found it the perfect excuse to finally talk Jake into going to Bali because I've been wanting to go for, I don't know, at least a few years. You see all the pretty things on Instagram and whatnot. So I'm like, yes, I can talk Jake into going to Bali now. So
Super stoked about going to the land of Instagram influencers and nomads and a bunch of tourists, so.
yeah, but it was good.
No, it was good. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I kept like throwing it out there like, hey, we don't know where we're going next. We could go to Bali. And it worked. We looked at plane tickets and actually found some pretty decent priced plane tickets out of California.
Yeah.
And we went for it.
Yeah, we had our little short trip through the U.S., went to some states, and then we ended up in Indonesia.
Yeah, long flight. It was like 11 and a half hours from California to Japan.
Yeah.
And then we had like another 5 hours of flights after that to get to the Bali island.
Yes.
So
I mean, there's a reason why it's one of the most visited tourist places in the world, and a ton of nomads go there.
yeah,
It's an awesome little island. It's crazy too how tiny it is. It's just one small island in Indonesia, kind of in the middle of nowhere essentially. And there's a lot going on here. That was our first impression when we got out of the airport and to our first little hotel. We just saw the craziness from Denpasar to Canggu.
if you're going there, you'll fly into the Denpasar airport, and we ordered a Grab,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because they don't have Uber.
We got a Grab and drove to our accommodation, and we were just kind of watching the crazy streets out the window of the car, and
Yeah.
first impression, we jumped right in.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think the craziest first impression was there was like this tiny little narrow road, and there was like 100 motorbikes coming off of it, and there wasn't room for two-way traffic,
And the car was going.
and the car was trying to go on that road.
Yeah.
So, but then motorbikes were somehow also squeezing by the car
Yeah.
on the road.
Yeah, it's literally what you picture Asia as in your head, just scooting in motorbikes, weaseling through everywhere. It's just insane how like these tiny roads and how much is actually going on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so there we are. We got to our first spot, which was Canggu,
Yes.
and it's kind of this famous little area that became known for hipsters because of its world-class surfing, right? They have the
Yes.
huge break, one of the longest like surf breaks in the world, I'm pretty sure. And it just has brought in people from all around the world to come there and try to experience these waves.
Tons of nomads live in Canggu,
Yes.
so you'll see people from all over the world, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You can walk down the street and you have people from everywhere.
That was our first introduction to the country. we got acclimated pretty quick, honestly.
Yeah.
We're used to it, and you know, traveling South America has definitely helped with that.
We were waking up at like 4 in the morning for like
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
for
week,
sure.
probably.
I forgot about
Because
that.
of like the 12-hour time difference, I think it was.
Yeah, for
12,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were waking up super early, which was actually kind of nice because we could go out before tons of people were out. Actually, another first impression we had, I think the first day we went out for dinner after we got there, and I ordered a coconut to drink.
Oh yeah.
This coconut was ginormous.
I remember Morgan had her first coconut in Jamaica back in 2019, and
I
this thing
did. I had never drank a coconut before 2019.
was this big, and she was like, "This is the infinite coconut. Coconut water never stops." And we get to Bali, and no joke, her first coconut is this big. It is huge.
Yeah, it looked like absurd of me holding it because it was like twice the size of my head.
Yeah.
And it was delicious too, by the way.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, the coconut is not only the delicious thing, but with all the tourists that come to Canggu, it was a perfect spot to start the honeymoon because of the infinite amount of restaurants that exist here.
Oh my gosh, the food. So good.
It was, oh my, hundreds of options. It was kind of overwhelming. You'd go down a strip and just restaurant, and they all have crazy good ratings. They all are pretty solid food.
I think you could stay in Canggu for a year and eat somewhere different, like every day if you wanted to.
Stairs every day and eat at a different restaurant every day.
Try something new,
Yes.
at least at one time a day. The restaurants were also like cheap for us, right? Because the exchange rate was like 15,000.
Yeah.
15,000 Indonesian rupees to $1.
Yes. So a little pain in the butt if you want to pay in cash. You're carrying around
Yeah.
multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars just to buy something small.
Like, for example, I think like a lot of the coffee places, the coffee would be 30,000.
Yep. That
So,
was universal with the whole
$2.
country, right?
Yeah.
Any coffee place is pretty much that price. And yeah, the restaurants, I would say on average, just for sake of talking about cost of things, I mean, we were going to pretty, I don't know how you'd call it, just hipster restaurants.
Yeah. If you're in the US and like go to a hipster restaurant.
Very Western restaurants.
Yeah, very similar. They have smoothie bowls, tons of smoothie bowls in Canggu, which I probably had one like every day, so
Yeah.
they were delicious. That was like one of my highlights of the trip was being able to eat so many smoothie bowls.
Yeah, just going to all these restaurants, just for sake of talking about price, but like it was on average, what, $10 to $15 for like a really full meal.
Yeah.
Potentially likely having some leftovers, but being content with eating 1.5 meals a day,
Yeah.
right? So your budget for food and coffee per day for 2 people is $20. And you could even be cheaper than that if you really wanted to. Well, we were not really thinking about price too much on anything.
No, we were eating where we wanted to eat, and that was that. We were like, oh, that looks good.
That probably defines half of our time in Canggu for the first week.
Eating.
While we're on the topic of price, we rented a motorbike right when we got here too.
Yes.
So we met this awesome guy. Found him on Google with super good reviews, and I called him up and I was like, "Hey man, what's the price for renting a scooter for 30 days?" And he gave me the price, and the total price came out to be $3 a day, is what we were
So
paying.
yeah, for the whole 30 days,
Yeah.
$3.
So now we're on food budget is $15 and $20 a day for 2 people. A scooter, one scooter for the both of us, is $3 a day. So now we're at $18 to $23 a day is all that we're spending.
Yes.
And then to get the last thing about cost, I guess, out of the way, our accommodations that we were getting. We were, again, in the middle of the road.
Yeah, we weren't staying at the cheapest places, and we definitely weren't staying at the places with infinity pools and
Yeah.
beautiful ones that you see on Instagram. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're more budget travelers. So.
Yeah, which is still, it's kind of, you don't need that glamorous of paying $1,000 a night or $500 a night even, because
we were barely in our hotels anyways, really. So
with a private room, with middle of the road places, really nice rooms, comfortable beds, private bathrooms, what we're paying a day, $15 to $20 a day.
Probably.
Yeah.
Price range. Yeah.
So just for like anybody who's trying to understand the notion of us traveling for a year and a half, that's kind of the perspective of a budget for us, being very moderate, not super conservative, honestly. So right now for accommodation, food, transportation, we're at $45 a day
Yeah.
or less.
Yeah. More or less. $40 a day.
Yeah, which is it's pretty insane actually. That's only $1,200 a month. So
Cheaper than a month's rent.
than a lot of people's month rent or mortgage and utilities.
Yeah.
So that's just I just want to put that in a little bit of perspective of what things were costing and what we were paying.
Yeah. And our flights to get there all the way to Asia, $700.
Yep.
Yeah. So with it being such a long flight, of course, we paid a little more than coming to South America flights.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at $1,200 a month plus $1,400 for our plane tickets one way. Because we had our plane tickets free for when we left Asia because of our credit card points.
Yes.
So I'm not going to include that in our personal pricing. So now for a whole month vacation, if someone were to take that, $1,200 plus $1,400 is $2,600. All right, so now say for random events, tours, hiking, anything we bought, clothes or anything extra, so just we're gonna conservatively bump that up to $3,000.
Yeah.
Right. So now, just for perspective of people's vacations and pricing, what we were able to spend for $3,000 got us everything we wanted without even thinking for an entire month in Bali, which is pretty crazy. That's a very, and you can even go cheaper than that, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go a lot cheaper than that. It just depends on how you want to do it and if you're okay with cutting some things out.
Yeah, shared room hostels,
Yeah.
less extravagant meals, making your own coffee, which we've been doing a lot recently. All of this stuff, will save money.
Yeah.
So yeah, $3,000 give or take for a whole month in this beautiful country, just to set the tone. It's very awesome. It's an incredible thing to do. So when you see these Instagram influencers in Bali, don't let them fool you.
Yeah.
It's nothing that is that
You don't have to go that crazy to be able to go there. So
Yeah.
you were talking about the surfing
Yes.
in Canggu, so to kind of step away from the money now,
Yeah.
you want to talk about, because you surfed. I personally do not surf. I've never tried it yet, so maybe one day I'll muster up some courage.
You just tell me though how you're not going to.
I said maybe when I'm like 80.
So yeah, I mean, I was attempting to surf. It's just crazy fun. The waves are great. It's a little tough for me who's would consider themselves a beginner or just someone who's not that great at surfing. There's people who take surfing pretty seriously. And if they're traveling around the world and they want to go there to surf, they want other people to not be in their way.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of people out in the ocean who are ranging from all levels, beginner to what they would consider pretty experienced. So it's just a thing of being aware and having to deal with that. But if you can find a nice spot, there's little breaks everywhere. You can kind of go off on your own a little bit, find a little safer spot with some smaller waves maybe, and you're gonna have fun. It was crazy good.
I mean, you can walk down Canggu Beach and there's just surfboard rentals and lessons at every booth. So it's not hard to find. It's just we realized like the first thing we got there, it's like, oh my God, there's so many people out here surfing because it's become such a famous location.
Yeah. I mean, there's the famous long break. You can just see it just breaking for so long, and people will be riding the same wave for 30 seconds plus.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and
But there's also like 100 people trying to surf out that spot. So it's like, if you're comfortable with it, it's okay. But if you're not comfortable with going out with that many people, you might not want to try there.
Yeah. But no, it's good, and the weather is beautiful. We were there in the fall.
We intentionally went during the shoulder season, so like it's kind of the end of the dry month and the start of the rainy season.
Yep.
So I had read that's a better time to go because of less tourists. I really don't know if there were less tourists there because there were a lot of people, especially in Canggu.
It'd be hard to imagine what it would
Like
be
with more people than that. So yeah, I don't know if it's become a more touristy time because of everything saying that's a better time to go? I don't know, but it didn't stop us from enjoying our time.
Of course not.
But there were a lot of people.
Yes.
Another thing that we did on our first week in Canggu, there's a temple called Tanalat Temple, and it's like one of the most famous to go to. And it's, I don't know, a little less than an hour scooter ride from where we were staying in Canggu.
Yeah.
So we had drove ourselves there with our motorbike, and it's on like a big rock, like sea boulder type thing, and it's like carved and built into it. So it's offshore, it's beautiful. So we went there and took our photos, and you can actually go over to the temple. We did not, because the tide was a little too high while we were there
Across.
to go across. But later when we were watching, we saw people crossing it.
Yeah, all of Bali, what we noticed is there's just temple after temple.
Yeah.
It's a Hindu practicing culture. And I remember reading when we were there that it is the only island in Indonesia that is Hindu, correct? You remember, was that?
Yeah, I remember you reading.
I don't remember why, but it was, and maybe that'll be a part 2 podcast where we kind of do more of a history on the country. But yeah, you'll notice on street after street, there's temples, and we were reading that back in the day that on a small family or friend basis, like they would have their own temple. And every morning you would see people giving offerings. They're making these little baskets with incense
and flowers
Yes.
and little candies, maybe.
Yeah, and they're everywhere on the street. They're giving their offering to their gods. Still, very religion is a strong basis of their culture. So that's what the Tanalat Temple was, the Hindu temple, and as all of the other temples across this entire country.
Yeah.
It's very, very neat to see.
They're beautiful. They're very different from anything we've ever been used to seeing, and just incredible.
Yeah, so it was very fun to see, especially simultaneously. While we were going to these temples in Bali, I was reading Yogananda, even getting more of a understanding of some Hindu beliefs and Hindu practices. So full circle kind of thing. And you'll see that firsthand. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's great. Also at the Tanalat Temple, there's some like little shops you can walk through and restaurants.
Touristy shops.
Yeah. But we decided to go walk through and see what there was. And there was a little cafe that sold luwak coffee, which is an animal, kind of like a cat type
Raccoon thing.
animal, raccoonish cat type animal. So basically the luwak eats the coffee bean and poops them out, and the bean goes through the fermentation process in the animal.
Yep.
And they use the coffee beans, and they're supposed to be really good and less acidic, and that's one of the things that you're supposed to do if you go to Bali. So try some luwak coffee.
What was the conclusion of the luwak coffee? Hey, I'll tell you, it tastes like this coffee. The same.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything that special in our eyes, but
It was fine.
it was good.
Yeah, the coffee was fine.
I wouldn't pay high price for it, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
we tried it.
Yeah, no, it was fun. We sat there. We're looking at the flying foxes that
Yeah.
the owner had, and tried some luwak coffee.
If you don't know what a flying fox is, it looks like a giant bat. There were 2 of them that he had as pets, and he said they fly out during the night and go eat and come back and roost on their little spot there.
While we were going to the temples, trying coffee, going to the beaches, and surfing, what was the other thing that we noticed coming here, Morgan? How hot was the sun?
Oh my god. The sun was so hot. We both said, I think we walked out to the beach the one day and we were both like, oh my god, I've never felt sun like this. It was literally like piercing through our skin. It felt like our skin was actually burning.
Yeah.
And neither of us had ever felt a sensation like that. It was pretty crazy.
Just a hot, hot sun. Be prepared for that if you make a trip to Bali.
Yes. I mean, we loved it. We're not complaining about it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't like hot, hot sun, it's hot, hot sun. So there's tons of beaches around Canggu area. Like our first couple days, we were driving, trying to check out a bunch of different beaches, but with like traffic in the roads, we were realizing beaches that seemed like they were a lot closer.
Oh yeah, it took so long.
It took so long to get to them because of the traffic. So then we were like, why are we spending an hour driving to these other beaches when there's so many beaches? Like just a super long beach in Canggu where you can spend your time.
All walking distance.
All walking distance.
Yeah, or a 5-minute
we
drive.
we were like 5-minute walk from an entrance to the beach.
Yeah.
Where we were staying. So yeah, after the first couple days, we're like, let's just enjoy the spot that we're at because we have these beautiful beaches out here.
Yeah.
And Canggu is famous for its black sand beaches because of the volcano, right? Yeah, so there's volcano, which has created the black colored sand from probably volcanic ash.
Yeah.
I won't go into the,
scientific
the scientific details of it because I probably will be wrong. But it's very neat and beautiful,
Yeah.
and the beaches are great. They're not the most beautiful beaches in Bali and Canggu. The water is definitely not as clear as other places that we'll get into that we went to,
Yeah.
but it's still a wonderful beach destination.
Oh yeah. Strong waves for surfing, fun waves for swimming, hot, sunny beaches for enjoying beaches, running. I was running, we were reading,
Yeah.
and just enjoying the beaches, enjoying the restaurants. That's Canggu, right?
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yep, absolutely.
So a good introduction to the honeymoon. And
If we wrap up Canggu in one word, it's eating, and that's it.
eating pizza.
Eating. Oh my God, the pizza! I almost forgot about the pizza. We had the best pizza.
That's it. That's Morgan's. That's what she want to talk about.
Yeah, we had the best pizza that we've ever had in our lives in Canggu, called Arte's Pizza. So good. It's like wood-fired pizza.
2-3 times?
I think we went there 3 times in total, actually.
I'm not proud of it.
We went twice, and then before we flew out of Bali, we were back in Canggu, so we went a 3rd time.
But nothing could compare to that first bite of that.
Oh
first
my
thing we
God.
had.
So good. I rated it a 10 out of 10. So, if you are a pizza lover and you go to Bali, you have to try Arte's.
Yeah. So there's our first week. It's our last day there. And we go to another beach a little north of us. And I'm walking down these steps, taking huge steps because each step was 2-3 feet tall. Walking in my nice new Avianas I just purchased.
Don't worry, I caught it on video.
Yes, it's gonna be overlaying this. And I'm walking down, and these damn new Avianas. I slipped on a rock, and I smashed my knee right into a rock. Oh my God, it hurt so freaking bad.
It was a pretty gnarly fall.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
But other than Jake falling at that beach, it was like Sessa Beach, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice. Not too far.
It was such a nice.
It was.
I'm limping along, walking.
Yeah, poor Jake. It didn't end well for him. But it was super calm. So if you want to get out of the craziness of the Canggu beaches, we saw like maybe 3 other people there. It wasn't really for swimming per se, but it was a very nice beach to just chill.
Yeah.
So
Luckily, I had no sustained permanent damage. I just had to put a knee wrap.
yeah, he had his knee brace with him actually.
I brought it
So
with me for when I run,
it
and
worked out.
just had to wear that for the next couple weeks. On a week 2, we got on our scooter, we packed up, we were loaded down on this thing. My backpack here.
My huge backpack, because I packed way too much, was on my back, like weighing me down on the back of the scooter. But, safest way to drive.
Of course, yeah, if we fell off, we had to,
We had padding.
yes.
So. No, it took a little bit of research to get over to, we didn't say
Nusa
it.
Penida.
Nusa Penida.
What's
Bali's
Nusa Penida? What is this? What are they?
So there's a cluster of 3 islands: Nusa Penida, Nusa Lambagan, and Nusa Chenagan, I think that's how you say it. And they are very small little islands, and they are like full of natural beauty. So they've become very famous, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to get over to them. We were thinking, let's take our scooter over with us, right? We won't have to run another one when we get over there. So we were looking into the public ferry option, and there really was not much about it online. It was hard. They don't have a website. There's really nothing out there.
There's nothing about it.
But we found out where it was at, and it was going to be like an hour drive with our backpacks on. Thankfully, our host in Nusa Penida, shout out to Wyan, he was awesome.
Yeah, super nice guy.
He let us know that the ferry was actually shut down.
Yes, the public ferry.
The public ferry.
So we were like, that is gonna kill our plans.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to the next option, which was what he recommended, and what's 99% of tourists take is the fast ferry options. And there's just a bunch of private boats outside of Sunner.
Yeah, tons of companies.
Yeah.
You drive to Sunner Beach and like off to the left, you walk that way and there's just tons of fast ferry companies trying to get you to go over to the Noosa Islands.
Yeah.
And for all around the same price, I would say.
Yeah, so we
So.
drove over there. We parked our scooter we already had rented. We just put it in a parking lot for our whole time while we were in Noosa Penida.
Yeah.
Took our bags with us. We got on a fast ferry, and within an hour or something,
Yeah.
hour and a half, we were already
We
in
were
Noosa
we were
Penida.
there. And Ryan came and picked us up and
Yep.
drove us to our little place there. He had a beautiful little place. Also very cheap. I don't remember what we paid.
Similar pricing.
Similar
Beautiful
pricing.
little house. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Beautiful view. A pool that we practically had to ourselves because hardly anybody else was staying there when
Yep.
we were there. And super nice hosts. Like they were telling us, recommending everything for us to do and
Yep.
saying that we'll help you get it set up.
Yeah. Helped everything.
Yeah.
He asked if we wanted a scooter, and
We
we're like,
rented a bike right through him.
"Okay." From him, he had an extra scooter, so we just used his. That was so easy.
Yeah, that was great. And it was great being able to drive ourselves around Noosa Penida as well.
So why Noosa Penida though? Why did we come here? What is
So-
this little island? What's the great deal?
If you've ever seen anything on Instagram about Bali, you've probably seen Noosa Penida's beaches. They have a famous one that in English, they call it the T-Rex beach because there's a rock formation that resembles a T-Rex head. In Indonesian, it's Killing King Beach. So crazy.
Just natural beauty. This whole
Oh my
island.
gosh.
Everything here, not just Kelly King Beach, all the other beaches. Just driving around, and it's beautiful. Beautiful place.
So beautiful.
Clear blue water.
The
picturesque.
bluest water I've ever seen in my
Doesn't
life.
make sense. Doesn't make sense.
It didn't look real. It looked like it was in a edited photo.
Yeah, it's crazy. This place was crazy. So our first night, we went to
So-
Crystal Bay Beach, and with what we already said, we're in the shoulder season.
Yeah, Ryan said, oh, it's the perfect spot to watch a sunset. And we were there in the evening already. So we're like, okay, let's go watch the sunset here. And like you were saying,
It's the shoulder season, it's migraine some days, so we drive all the way here on our bike, and it's starting to get a little dark, and maybe a little light sprinkles on our way, so we're like, I'll just go. We no more get to the beach, sit down, and buy a beer, and it's just downpouring.
yeah, it was sprinkling. We're like, okay, let's walk out to the beach. People were sitting under umbrellas and stuff. So we're like, okay, let's just buy a beer and sit down and wait it out.
Yeah.
As soon as we sat down with our beers, I think the wind picked up
Yeah.
and the rain picked up. So it was just like the umbrella wasn't doing anything. We were just sitting there getting pelted by rain in the cold. And we're like, yeah, this is what you get when you go in the shoulder season. It's okay.
No, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But it was just funny. It was
no one
hilarious.
up passing over. We sat there probably for, I don't know, half an hour just getting rained on. And then we're like, well, should we wait it out or should we just leave?
Yeah.
And then ultimately we decided we had a window, so we just went back to.
We'd rather not
Back
get
to our
downpoured on our bike
Yeah.
while riding. That was our first
That was the very
experience.
first thing we did. The next day we woke up and we did a little tour of the island. And I think we started at Killing King Beach,
Yeah.
the T-Rex beach. And just like walking up to it, you start at the overlook so you can see down on the T-Rex shape and the beach. And it's like mesmerizing.
Oh my god, yes.
Like I've seen photos of it, but I wasn't actually prepared to see it in person.
And beautiful weather today. Perfect.
Beautiful
Clear
weather.
blue sky.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
And though the overlook is very touristy, you don't even really focus on that because of the beauty of the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stairs that you can take down onto the actual beach, and they're kind of sketchy.
That's sketchy.
A little bit.
This is a little tough.
Yeah, I mean, they're not for everybody.
Yeah, they're not for everybody. Steep steps.
Yeah.
I didn't feel scared, right?
Yeah.
Not-
I mean, we probably shouldn't have walked down them in flip-flops.
Yeah, they recommended not to win. But we're here in our Avianas, hiking up the cliff.
Yeah, very steep climb down, and like there's like one sketchy part where there's not good steps, I think, and it's a hard walk back up. So actually, if you go down to the beach, there wasn't that many people on the actual beach
It's our experience.
from our experience. Yeah,
White sand, blue water. What a beach that was.
beautiful. The only downfall is I couldn't swim because the waves were like intense.
Very strong.
They were so tall. I think we have a video of the wave like being taller than you as you're running away from it.
It was very fun to swim in if you're comfortable with
Yeah,
it.
Jake enjoyed swimming and I enjoyed just being down there and
Yeah.
seeing the water, the beauty.
Yes, the raw beauty. I don't know, a couple hours there maybe, and we
Yeah.
trekked back up in the nice hot sun.
Yeah, and then we had hopped on our motorbike and we headed to Broken Beach, which isn't actually a beach that you can go down to. It's an overlook of like a little beached area
Pretty cliffy.
with like a natural rock bridge. It has like a hole in it. I think that's what you would call it,
Yeah.
like a rock bridge. And we walked up to it and it was beautiful. And the first thing I saw was a sea turtle swimming down in the bottom.
I don't know how you thought it.
Yeah, it was just like a quick glimpse and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, a sea turtle. And then we walked over to the other side, which is like a huge cliff drop off overlook of the ocean. And it's actually called Dolphin Point. And as soon as we walked over there, there was a
Dolphins
huge
hopping.
pot of dolphins just hopping around in the water. So it was very, very awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know, it was just a weird place. Like, I don't timing or whatever the day was, but nobody was there.
Yeah, actually, the first thing we started out trying to go to, because it's right beside Broken Beach, is the Angels Billabong. Remember? And I think it was maybe just the wrong time of year, but it was not what we were expecting it to be. Like you read and see in blogs, it's like this the part where the ocean waves wash up and create like a natural infinity pool.
Yeah.
But the ocean waves were not washing up into it, and it was just like stagnant, muddy water, so nobody was in it.
No.
But then we walked over, like just a short walk, and we saw Broken Beach and all of that, so
More natural beauty. This is what the island is, right? Just
yeah.
crazy. And then the same day we go to Puyang Beach.
We did?
So we left
After that.
Broken Beach, and then we went to this lesser known one. I don't know why we went there, do you?
I think we were trying to find somewhere to watch the sunset.
Yeah, but why?
Because we were on the wrong side of the
Oh,
island.
yeah, we were on the wrong side. We were face turning the wrong way.
Yeah.
So we looked on Google and saw Puyang. And I said, let's try going to this little beach.
Yeah.
And we're driving on this dirt road. We're going through the forest.
And like just as we were like maybe getting ready to give up, there was a few local kids driving their scooters and they're like, where are you trying to go? So we told them and they're like, it's this way, come
So
on.
just follow us.
Just
we're
follow us. So they took us to the spot and then they're like, just put your helmets away because the monkeys might
monkeys will
steal
steal
them.
'em.
Yeah. So there were monkeys. And then you had to do like a hike down through the forest. And then you came out to this
Private little beach.
private little beach.
Yeah. These kids were over there. They were cooking dinner for sunset. And we just sat and watched the sunset, swam a little bit, and no one else was there.
Yeah. And then it was starting to get
Then it got dark.
dusk and we're like, okay, we need to get back because we got to hike back through this woods and then also drive the scooter back out of this road.
Yeah.
So it worked out though.
With all of the clear water and the blue water, a big thing to do on this Bonito is snorkeling. So again, Wyan, our host, hooked us up. He booked snorkeling for us. He said, do you want to go? He's like, I know some good guys. And he told us the price. We're like, yeah, sure, let's go.
The big thing to see snorkeling there is the manta rays. If you're lucky and you're there on a good day, there'll be a bunch of manta rays you're swimming with. We ended up seeing one or two.
Too.
I think two, yep. So it was kind of choppy when we were out, so I think maybe the manta rays weren't out.
Yeah.
And they're shy. If too many people get out, I think they go away.
Did you enjoy snorkeling or did you not enjoy it?
The water was rough, and I'm not the best snorkeler, so I didn't not enjoy it. But after the first like 2 jump out spots, I was just starting to get a little bit of motion sickness, and ended up staying on the boat for the last spot.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the worst snorkeling experience that I've had.
No, it was good. I could do that all day.
Yeah.
In that water. Obviously, if it was less choppy, it'd be so much easier. But just beautiful fish, and you can see so far when the water's this clear.
Yeah.
We got to see the 2 manta rays. It was awesome.
That experience prepared me for all the snorkeling we did in the Philippines later on.
Yeah.
So it was a good gateway.
Not in
To...
this video. What else did we do on Nusa Penida? Anything?
We did. Yeah. And then we also went to a famous beach called Diamond Beach. Same beauty as Kelling King, the T-Rex beach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Again, you walk to the overlook and
Unfathomable.
just insane.
You see the sea rocks and the blue water. Perfect day again.
Yes.
Not a cloud in the sky.
And you can also do the overlook and then take the steep stairs down to that beach. And there were even less people on Diamond Beach
Yes.
when we went down.
Yeah.
Again, the waves were kind of crazy and it can get a little bit iffy for swimming if you're not comfortable, but just beautiful to be down there. Then you can drive over to the other side of Diamond Beach is another overlook. They call it the Thousand Islands.
Yep.
There's definitely not 1,000 islands. There may be 7.
Yeah.
Like big rocks. So I don't know about the name, but just another beautiful view of it.
Yeah. It's also notorious. I've seen it on Instagram. You've seen it on Instagram. This tree house that everybody likes to lie to the world about how beautiful it is.
Yeah, pretend like you stay there.
Yeah, and it's this silly thing. You pay the guy $20 and you can walk up this ladder and he takes your video.
And there was a line you had to wait in. There's probably like 20 people waiting in line to get their photos and videos with this tree house in front of this overlook.
Yeah, and we were just like,
Yeah.
We
If you
walked
walk a
past
little
it.
farther, there's a free spot and it's got like an amazing
yeah, just as
View.
good, just as good. So we had said forget that, and we walked off by ourselves and enjoyed this overlook of all these rocks and this blue water.
Yeah. Just unreal beauty, really.
Crazy place, crazy place.
And I think
We drove around the whole
that
island.
day, yeah.
And we made a whole loop, essentially, because it's only, a couple hours to really drive
Yeah.
around the whole thing. And then we're going to say the same day where we went to the cave temple.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other side of the island, I don't remember the year, but 90s, 80s, they rediscovered this underground cave temple. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think something like that.
So this ancient Hindu temple was built into this cave, and through times of less people practicing, it got lost and people forgot about it. Well, for whatever reason, people going over to the mainland and leaving Nusa Penida, it got rediscovered, and you crawl through this little hole and you are led to this immaculate cave that's built into a temple. And at first I thought it was like, oh gosh, what's this tourist trap? It's
Yeah.
very goofy, and that, but when you get into it, it's like, oh, this is crazy. This is very crazy.
Yeah, because I think the price was a bit higher than we were used to paying for stuff there, and we we're like, oh, they're just charging for you to go look at this. But it was insane. Huge cave, like,
Yeah,
just, I don't know.
hard to explain in the words.
You're
Really.
just walking through, and you're like, how?
How was this built?
Why?
Hundreds of
Why
years
is
ago.
this
Why
here?
was this built?
Yeah.
So Nusa Penida is summed up in natural beauty,
I guess.
beaches, more temples, more culture, and wine. Shout out to Wine Host.
Yeah, and we didn't go over to Nusa Chenegan, the smallest of the 3 islands, but we did do a day trip
Yep.
to Nusa Lambagan,
Yes.
which was a great plan. We were actually thinking about maybe staying over there for a few nights, but then opted to just do a day.
Wine recommended.
Wine recommended do a day trip because you can see everything. But if you want to chill a few nights,
It wouldn't be bad.
it would be great to stay on. But with our bags, it actually made more sense for us to
Yeah.
just leave them at Wyand's place and do a day trip.
Yeah.
And
we were able to see everything, see the whole island.
we were, yeah, and it was just as beautiful.
Then, right.
Actually, there we went to that cafe
I was gonna say that same thing.
at
but that
Overlook,
being-
and the beach there was insane.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the exact same thing. That spot, just super calm.
Yeah,
Overlooking.
super blue, like for a long ways, and these boats, and
Yeah.
it was just so beautiful.
We're just saying the same thing.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
I don't know any other words to use 'cause
No.
it was just breathtaking. And there was some other spots to stop up there, like the Devil's Tear.
Yeah.
Super strong waves wash up, and there's like little like carved out caves essentially into the cliffs. And when the water hits it, it shoots out with like such force. Yeah, that was actually pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, we stood there and watched that for
For how?
a while.
And it was creating a rainbow.
Yeah,
It's like mesmerized.
it was.
What
So,
else?
That's it. I mean, that's essentially.
We did a little swimming at some of the other beaches.
Yeah, we had a day trip, and
Mm-hmm.
as we said, we don't know if, like, with our timing of going, if the shoulder season, if there's less people than normal, all we can say with our experience of like how busy it actually was, or if it's post-COVID, if it's why it wasn't as busy. But on Nusa Penida, outside of Killing King Beach, it was pretty calm. We said nobody was down on the actual beaches at Diamond Beach. Nobody was really down on the beach at Killing King. Nusa Limbogan was fairly empty. I don't know why, but like we do know that during COVID happened a year or two priors, right? Then we were there. And you read that actually a lot of the locals had to go back to seaweed farming
Yeah.
since the tourism.
There was no tourism on the island for like 2 years because of COVID. So.
And we witnessed that. We witnessed some like them. They're integrating more of the seaweed farming back into their economy with a mix of tourism now, which is kind of neat to see. So.
For sure.
We don't really know how this is going to go forward, or if it's like that going to be still, but for our experience it was crazy good.
Absolutely.
So
I don't
worth
know
going?
if because we were there on a weekday too rather than weekend, if there was less people or what, but we had a great experience with not too many tourists.
You'd recommend?
And I would definitely recommend, even if it is super touristy and the Instagram spot.
Worth it.
Oh
There's a reason why.
It's so worth it.
So
I would go back tomorrow. It's so beautiful.
week 3, back to the mainland.
Ubud.
Ubud.
The cultural center of Bali. I don't know why I'm talking like that.
Go into that, like, go into something.
Yeah, so Ubud is like the capital of Bali, cultural center. There's like the famous palace where the royal family lived, and it's also jungle. So very, very different from the coast, and it was a nice change up for a little bit to get out, and you have the famous rice fields and the jungle, and we'll talk about our experiences. Yeah.
As we were just saying off camera, actually, surprisingly, we were kind of nervous for our bike ride. We got back on our bike that we had parked in Sandar, and we took that to Ubud for another hour drive up into the middle of the country.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. We had our bags positioned perfect or what, but we felt good on that ride.
Yeah, it was fine. It was very, very nice to just not have any issues, because I was kind of worried on this tiny little scooter with our big old freaking bags. But we made it to Ubud. We found a great little place outside of town that we were in the whole week. And yeah, like you said, we're in the jungle, so a lot more of a different feeling and experience than what it was up until this point.
Yeah. Ubud, the city itself, was actually quite busy.
Yes.
Kind of crazy. We were actually glad we stayed a little bit. We were only like a 5-minute drive from the downtown, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was calm, it was quiet, there was rice field around us, and we had a beautiful little place, and we hopped on the scooter, and within 15 minutes we could get to the monkey sanctuary, the very first thing we did in Ubud.
Yeah, we saw this thing, we're reading about it, and they just have these little monkeys. And it's a sanctuary for them.
Tons of monkeys. Yeah.
You go into this park entrance, and as soon as you walk through the gate, there's monkeys hopping around from tree to tree, jumping in front of you.
Yeah, you're warned not to take in like any food, like don't wear your sunglasses on your head or like have valuables out, because the monkeys will take them. And we were just having so much fun watching the monkeys. They're hilarious to watch. They just like sit around, and they're almost like human-like when you watch them.
That's the fun thing of like
taking so many videos and photos.
Of what we were thinking was just watching these little creatures and just seeing how human-like they are. You know, their movements, their mannerisms. They're just sitting there scratching their bellies and looking.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah, we just enjoyed taking a ton of video and photos of these things, walking through.
We were probably there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I know, like, at the one point you were asking me how I felt about him. And, like, I was still a little bit nervous because you watch them, like, jump on people or, like, they have, like, these big gnarly teeth in their mouths. And, like, you're not supposed to, like, lock eyes with them because they take it as a sign of aggression. So trying not to make eye contact directly with the monkeys because you don't want them getting pissed off at you. And right as Jake was asking me how I felt about him, and I was saying, like, oh, it's fun, but they're a little bit, like, intimidating. As soon as I was saying it, one just comes out of nowhere and hops onto Jake's head because he was carrying his camera bag, and they thought maybe there was food in there, and he was trying to reach into it. It was like locked closed. But yeah, this thing's just hanging out on
This
Jake's
was the exact same time as asking what your thoughts were.
Yeah.
A little scared of him, and
It was funny though. And then you wanted to talk about the guy with the cut on his
yeah, and this little monkey's just sitting like this. I guess feeling sorry for him. So he's
Yeah.
getting scratched.
We see he had just gotten a fresh cut on his arm, and this monkey, his face, you could just see how sorry he felt for himself. He was just sitting there like, this is the worst day ever. Why would anybody do this to me?
But yeah, that's the monkey forest. We're just taking a ton of videos here. It was super
Yeah.
fun just watching these things.
And we went to another monkey forest a little bit more out of town.
Yeah, a few days later, we actually went to another one and had kind of the same experience. They were a little more, I don't know, less regulated maybe with the rules. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're just feeding these things whatever they had.
Yeah, which probably isn't actually good. And it's outside of town, so it's not as touristy as the other ones. So the monkeys were a little bit more shy.
Yeah.
Too. So I don't think they see as many people daily. But our guide we had was walking us around and just having the monkeys sit on our head and having them come sit on our laps.
Yeah, he was that's fine. But
Yeah, that's whatever.
maybe that's what led to me getting sick.
Maybe. Yeah.
Probably not. I went on this trip outside of town. I'm convinced it was the fish I had. I
Yeah.
had a freshwater fish. Probably wasn't the best decision, but it never fails. Another country with food poisoning.
Yes. Jake, it's inevitable. Wherever
Yeah.
we go, he gets food poisoning.
Jesus.
Because he eats whatever he wants and drinks the water. Not drinks, but
Yeah. Yeah.
brushes his teeth with the water.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
It always comes for him.
Had a
But
fun little, day and a half. Really
Yeah.
wasn't too long.
they call it Bali belly and Bali
Because it's so common.
because the water there. It's very common to come down with something. So
I got it.
you got it. We were down for just a full day, and then like half a day, I think you were down. So we hung out at our nice place and
Yeah.
nurtured my husband back to health. But the fish that he ate was after we went to one of the famous rice terraces, Tagalalang. So it's not too far, half an hour to an hour scooter ride. I don't remember
Yeah.
for sure. We drove to it. You can go park, and then very cheap entrance ticket gets you into the rice terraces.
Yeah,
and
because they're still active. Just
Yeah.
farmers farming rice fields, and then they
people
turned
can
it
come and
into
take
a
photos and
tourist attraction because it's beautiful.
yeah.
They have these steeper mountains, and they've terraced farming rice fields, and it was surprisingly fun just to walk through,
It really was.
see the beauty that they have in this agricultural production that they've developed. So yeah, I mean, it helps the farmers and it brings tourism in. So I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
And a famous thing to do in Bali is the Bali swings. You'll see them all over the place. A big wooden swings, and you can pay to get pushed out over a view. And they have them in the rice terraces.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to do it, but they talked us into it.
We're
So-
gonna negotiate a little bit of price because I had zero ambition to do it, and this guy seemed like a goofball a little bit.
Yeah.
So we were like this and this price, and eventually he's like fine,
Yeah.
you both go for 20
But
bucks.
for whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, fine, but my wife goes by herself, and then you have to come with me. and the dude was super stoked.
He was
about it.
excited about it.
He's like, yeah, I'll go on with it.
So Jake and this guy are
50-year-old man.
arm in arm on the swing.
Love swing.
Looks like they're in love, swinging over the rice terrace.
He was loving it. He was laughing so hard, trying to
Yeah.
get Morgan to take photos and videos of us up there.
That was a fun experience.
Yeah.
And then basically you just can walk through. There's like a trekking route in the rice terraces you can take and just kind of walk all around, and some overlooks
That's what it was.
Beautiful.
No, like we said, everything's beautiful, but completely different than the beaches. But in its own right, it's a jungle with their rice farming was super neat to see first.
Yeah.
Just as neat, maybe a little less known for people who are interested in coming to Bali. It's the other rice field.
Yeah.
How do you say the name?
Jatalua or Jatalui.
Jatalue.
Yeah. Something. We're probably not saying it right, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, huge.
Oh my gosh.
These are very big.
Yeah, huge. And in our eyes, they were even more beautiful than the other ones. I don't know why, because they were bigger or there was less people there.
Combination of both.
Combination.
Mountains in the horizon.
And there was a big mountain in the horizon. So it was really cool.
Yeah,
and
for
we really enjoyed
Spent a whole day hiking around that place.
Yeah.
My gosh, so much things to do. Like, we did so much in Ubud, and like with it being the cultural center, we visited some more temples. It was a fun thing. We noticed just driving down the scooter and how happy some kids are to see foreign tourists. They're talking to us in English. They're like, hello. And you just stay back and they're just super excited. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. They love it.
Yeah,
So fun.
it's
And
super neat.
the other big thing to do in Ubud is, since it's in the jungle, there's a lot of waterfall hikes.
Yeah.
And we by no means did all of the waterfalls because there's so many to choose from, but we did do a few.
Yep. We had two that we really enjoyed. What were the names?
And the first one was Tibumana. And there's they're not huge waterfalls or anything, but they're very pretty and a little bit of a hike, not too far.
Yeah.
And we're walking to the Tibumana waterfall in flip-flops, my swimsuit, because you can go in the water.
To swim.
And suddenly I felt something brush my leg, and I didn't really think about it. I thought maybe it was a stick or a leaf in my mind. But as soon as it happened, Jake was like, oh! And I turned around just in time to see this green snake had hopped out to eat a frog that was hopping. I don't know if it was the frog or if it was a snake that brushed my leg, but it was one of the two. And the snake was like this close to my ankle.
Yeah.
If it would have missed the frog, it would have got my ankle. So that was a nice introduction to the waterfall.
And then we're immediately after that, we're like, yeah, let's go swimming here.
Yeah, I actually didn't go too far out into that water. I wonder why I was nervous.
It was a nice little waterfall.
It was.
Yeah, it was a good little hike.
Yeah, I think if you're there at a different time of year, the water's more clear. It wasn't super
brown, but-
it was brown, but it was still very pretty.
Yeah.
And the other one is a really super neat one to go to because it's almost down in a canyon
Yeah.
type formation.
100%.
And if you're there at the right time, you get these light rays, which we didn't actually get to see because, I don't know, wrong time of year.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, the waterfall itself was very neat. It was another one of those Instagram versus reality moments though, because you get your pretty photo with the waterfall by yourself, but then there's 50 other people waiting.
It wasn't that busy, but it was.
It can get that busy, I think. While we were there, luckily it wasn't that busy, but there was definitely a line of people waiting for the
Just to get a photo. Yeah. And I just wanted to swim and jump and sit underneath the waterfall.
Yeah. It was still an awesome waterfall.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, is there anything else we want to talk about in Ubud? Oh my gosh. Sorry, Anthony Bourdain. But he put a restaurant on the map. Naughty Nelly?
No.
Naughty Nuri.
Naughty Nuri.
Naughty Nuri's famous for pork ribs. Person who worked with ribs as a child growing up in a famous rib restaurant had to try the ribs. And they weren't good.
Yeah.
So we're going to a world-class restaurant.
I didn't think they were horrible, but
Yeah.
nothing special.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another Naughty Nuri's, a newer one. It's in a different town in Bali, in Seminyak, and maybe that one's better. So we can't speak for that one. But the one in Ubud didn't seem worth it. No. Nothing too much with the food. We went to good restaurants.
Yeah, it was fine.
too.
Food was good.
Great restaurants, but another big thing to do there is the Campuhan Ridge Walk.
Yeah.
Just a big walk on top of a mountain ridge. So just kind of a leisurely thing to do, really. You can go for a walk, but I think we flew the drone there and got some.
Yeah, we got some neat shots.
Neat shots.
Just hiking around, that's kind of Ubud. Ubud was. The city center, and then other than that, we had our scooters, so we explored the greater area. and did short little hikes, day trips.
Yeah. And Jake decided he wanted to drive like really far the one day.
Yeah, a short little area. And the one day was like, hey, we're going to go all the way to the other side of the island on our tiny scooter to go to the temple up by the lake.
We went to the Ulun Danu Buratan temple.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the time? An hour and a half? Hour 45 minutes?
Yeah, it ended up being long for the scooter because, like,
You can only go so fast.
yeah, driving back was rough, just uncomfortable and ready to be back. But the temple was very neat.
Yeah. Go right into the side of the lake.
Yeah, lake, and on the other side is the volcano, right?
Yeah, just a beautiful place.
It was worth checking out and going to.
Yeah, I mean, definitely like with our trip is one option for a trip to Bali, but there's a whole nother part with the volcano side of the island, of the northern coast, and all of the western side of the country we didn't make it to.
And like the western side has like a big national park, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot we didn't do.
We made it to what we thought we could do in a comfortable amount of 4 weeks with our visa, and this temple was probably our furthest we ventured out.
Yeah.
Along with driving outside of town, was it on the same trip where we got downpoured on, or was that where we went to the coffee place?
It was when we went to the coffee place.
Yeah, so we went to go try this little coffee shop where they make their Bali beans, where they grow coffee, their coffee farms there, and it was fine, no issues. And we're driving back and it's fucking downpouring. It was raining on us the whole way back.
There was probably only like 3 times tops in our month in Bali that we actually got rained on. So it wasn't bad. But this drive, we had like an hour of it and it rained the entire
And
time.
it stopped.
And then, as soon as we got back, done, the sun comes out. So that made for a bit of a miserable ride.
Yeah.
But, it's all in the adventure.
With us trying to be leisurely, Morgan found out that there's very cost-effective massaging in this country.
So when Jake was recovering from his belly, I was like, well, we don't want to do anything too intense. Let's go get massages.
Definitely a thing to do for tourists, luxury tourist turds like us.
Yeah. I mean, our massages, I think, cost $15 to $20 a piece for a full 1 hour body massage. We got like a foot scrub. We got like a welcome drinks.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it
And
was.
like one of the best massages
Yeah.
I've probably had.
Ubud, is that it?
I think so.
Week 4, our final week, Uluwatu. Yep, so here we are, last week in Uluwatu. This is a different story when we packed up and left Ubud.
Oh my God.
For some reason, this ride was tough. It was the longest ride, single ride without stopping,
Yeah.
for our little scooter and our damn backpacks. To our next stop.
We apparently weren't positioned as well or something, but it was so uncomfortable and so long, and my legs kept going numb because of my bag, and I'd have to switch sides because I'd have to lean over to the side with my big bag so I could like hold on to Jake,
Yeah.
and then my right leg would go numb, so I'd have to tell Jake when we stopped, okay, I need to move over so we didn't knock over the bike, and I had to like go over to the other
With my backpack in front of me.
and like I think like every 5 minutes on that ride, one of my legs was falling asleep and I had to move. My legs were literally numb when we got back. I stood up or when we arrived at Uluwatu, I stood up and I almost fell over, I think.
We had to take a break. We stopped at a coffee spot. I
Yeah,
filled up with gas just to like, okay. let's
we
chill
need to
out
get
here
off for a minute.
We got back on, we made it, and we knew that was going to be the longest trek on the bike. But we made it, and it was worth it because after Canggu, surfing in restaurants, Nusa Penida, a whole new different feel with island and blue water, then Ubud, rainforest, and cultural history. And Uluwatu is yet again another difference where it's its own right, its own beauty, without the crowd. Nobody was here.
I was surprised. Like the roads were so much calmer than Ubud and Canggu, and just it was such like a chill spot. And for the mainland of Bali, some of the most beautiful beaches,
Yes.
super blue water.
Yeah.
Again, surfing is incredible there.
It's just that it's more cliff like.
Yeah.
It's more mountainous. It's not like a flat beach area. It's all cliff like, and then you have to maybe go down, drive down some roads or drive up a lot.
Or do some hikes down some steps to get to the beaches.
Yeah, but it was, oh my gosh, the places were insane again. My gosh.
Yeah, very much. I love the beaches there, and I loved that it was much calmer. Like it was just like a nice, relaxing feeling to end our trip on.
Yep.
Really.
To make our honeymoon so much better. Everything was great, but it was a great ending point to the country.
It was very nice. And Jake can talk a little bit about the surfing there. There's one beach, Suluban Beach, and it's actually, even without the surfing, a really cool beach because it's almost like a cave-like formation, and you walk down and then the ocean like washes up into it. Very beautiful, but then there's also a crazy surf break there.
Yeah, well, at least from when I was looking online, it was maybe not all the time. The current and tide shift for whatever reason, and it might be like a good spot, but while we were there, it was
That's
where
where
the
it was.
best break was for this wave, and you could tell there was not beginners out here. I was on much smaller beaches and smaller waves than this, because these were huge waves far from the coast. It was this crazy long break, and you could tell these were very experienced surfers who were out here, and they were riding this wave, and we were just we ended up going up above Suluban Beach and just chilling at a place, getting a juice just to watch these guys.
There's like a whole setup there for surfing, so they have big build-up boardwalk basically with
Hostels and
restaurants and stuff, so you can sit up there and watch other people surfing.
And gosh, those guys were crazy, but it was very neat to see. From our own personal experience, we kind of ventured out along and were going to more calm beaches. What was that beach called where it was the tide pools? That place was crazy.
Oh, Yang Yang, I think. It was crazy. A bunch of tide pools. Like, it was super shallow and rocky at the shore and super warm water, so there was a bunch of like weird sea life.
They were looking and seeing all the little creatures,
There were
sea
these
urchins.
different things that looked like starfish, but their arms were more like spiders. I really don't know what they were. They were kind of creepy, actually. But there was hardly anybody on that beach either.
There's this huge beach, and it was hot that day.
It was
No one was there. So we just walk in the beach, and
a big green cliff on the other side of the beach, and just very natural beauty.
yeah.
And it was close to the famous Uluwatu Temple.
They do the Kekek fire dance.
Yes.
So what's the history of this Kekek fire dance? I know you've done some nice little research on this.
Kind of. Basically, it comes from like I don't remember the name of it. I should have looked it up. But it comes from like one of the Hindu rituals they would do, and it eventually became combined with like a theatrical dance with the ritual.
Just tells the story of like a prince who goes out to search for his wife, and it's this whole escapade. You know, I don't know. You don't need to go into whole details of what the story is.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, it was so cool to watch. The people do like vocalizations and chants, and like the whole time they're just in synchronicity and like never lose it. It has to be very tough to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it was really cool to watch. We really enjoyed it. And they do it at sunset. So the temple is on a cliff next to the ocean, and on one side you get the sunset, and then you're watching the Kekek fire dance. I highly recommend.
Yeah, 100%. You get an insight of the old culture kind of mixed with the new culture, and it's definitely a tourist experience, but it's very neat. What'd you read about in your book?
Yeah.
About the fire dance history?
It was actually ironic. When we were in Bali, I was reading the book Hold the Enlightenment by Tim Cahill, and it's just like a bunch of different stories about different travels, crazy travels he's done.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on a beach in Bali and reading a chapter about when he came to Bali. But basically, he came before tourism was really big in Bali, and then he came back 11 years later and saw like how tourism had
Started affecting the culture.
started affecting the culture
And in
and
good
changing
ways.
things. But
Right.
yeah, how it like actually is helping the local people as well. The one thing he asked his friend that was from Bali was, but like, do you guys still do the trances? And he was like, yeah, actually they're better now because we have more money for costumes and more time to practice.
It's hard to imagine what it would have been like going to a country or an island like that before tourism.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of things in the world that not many people will be able to experience ever again because of the connection of
Yeah.
everything.
The world is a much smaller place now.
Yes. So, I mean, Uluwatu, you know, there's more beaches. We kind of relaxed a little bit more than you can even say that.
Yeah, I think we were only in Uluwatu for like 4 days, actually,
Yeah.
right? So we didn't have quite as long there, but it was a good time.
Yeah.
We got to see a lot of the beaches and, again, eat at good restaurants.
And that's
That was Bali.
1 month in Bali.
We loved it.
Yeah,
It was
100%.
an amazing honeymoon.
You know, hopefully somebody can watch this, maybe get some inspiration, understand, may have more of a grasp of costing, or, you know, maybe read the blogs. Keep shouting out Morgan's blog to...
Traveling Wilbur.
And no, it was an awesome trip. Obviously not a normal style of honeymoon because we have the advantage and luxury and privilege of not working for a year and a half and being able to come here for a whole month. But that's the celebration of our wedding, right? So
Yeah.
that's that.
The long-awaited wedding, right?
So I don't know, we'll wrap it up on a little bit of a conclusion. Overall, any final comments or thoughts on Bali? Would you go again? Any recommendations? What do you think?
I would definitely go again. And I highly recommend visiting all of the places that we went to because they were all incredible in their own way and they were different from the last. And we would love to go back and visit more places in Bali that we didn't get to go to.
Yeah.
And I would go back to the places that we did go to
Yeah.
because, the people too. The people in Bali are just so kind, amazing people.
Very welcoming of tourists.
Yeah.
And willing to show interest in their culture and meet somebody and just say hello. You can,
They have a smile on their face for you.
yeah, it's so fun to see that and that experience those human interactions with people from across the world.
Absolutely. Was Bali what you expected it to be, Jake?
Yeah, I am. Expectation versus reality. It's hard saying, but overall, I don't know, maybe even better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It just had maybe a little bit of a jaded experience of like countries that get built up too touristy and for the Instagram reels and, you know, is there an embellishment, which there is an embellishment of like luxury lifestyle, which you can have.
Well, you can absolutely have it there.
But
And
it's-
if you're going for a luxury vacation there, it's really not that expensive compared to other luxury
yes.
places, but it's out of our price
Yeah,
budget.
and it's also silly to me. Why?
Yeah.
Why do that? Why spend the money to go to a resort and segregate yourself from the rest of the people?
Right.
But
But if that's what you're about, then
yeah.
it's
yeah.
100% a good place.
Yeah, but in reality, I would say it exceeded my expectations. It was super nice. The people, like you said, the places were breathtaking, natural beauty. And again, you look on the map, it's just this tiny little line. It seems silly to fly across the world to go to such a small location, but that's how it is. You know, we're super lucky and privileged with our lifestyle that we're living right now.
Yeah.
Anything else?
We love Bali.
And like all good things, Morgan and Jake's trip came to an end, but their travels did not end there. They continued to see the world, so be sure to subscribe to not miss out on their crazy adventure. And as always, thank you for watching.